As a matter of fact, I went to therapy years ago, and I never thought there was any issues that I had with my father because, he was the deacon in the church, he worked 2 jobs, and he was just a good man. Sometimes your feelings, you don't let yourself say what they are. He was a good person, but he was never there. And with me being the oldest in my family, I was my mother's best friend, and I was her caregiver, So I did have issues.
Tell us your name again.
My name is Chris Mason.
And how old are you, Ms. Mason?
75.
75. You got some words of wisdom on us.
Yes.
And where you're from. Tell us a little bit about you, your hobbies, anything you want our viewers to know.
I just relocated up here from Oakland, California. I grew up in San Francisco, and for the last 40 years I've been a resident of Oakland.
Wow.
I have 4 sons and I think 8 grandchildren, and I have 5 great-grandchildren.
Okay, I'm just looking for the lighting. And so, in your opinion, tell us something that you want the sisters to know about the black man.
About the black man? Well, I'll tell you, like, my therapist told me when I went to her several years ago, because I was angry and upset and ready to get out of my marriage after 10 years because it was so hard. And she said to me that the black male needs help, and we have to be understanding. Don't be a fool, but we need to understand. But sometimes we put ourselves in those roles of being a caregiver and then the provider, and we don't have to do that. So with me moving forward, I don't plan to be anybody's caregiver unless it's a family member. But I think a lot of times we put ourselves in those positions of wanting to be all and do all.
And what would you want the black man to know about the black woman?
That we love you. We love you.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say we demand, but we expect respect.
What do you think is our biggest struggle as a black community?
I think we don't reach back and help each other anymore. My parents came to California from Alabama when I was 2 years old, and in the 40s. And when relatives would move out here, they would reach back and help someone else come back, and that's how. And we helped each other. And now it's like it's the me generation that people are, and the values. They value things, money, cars, tennis shoes, the whole bit, over relationships. And knowledge is power, and you have to learn how to be. If you've never loved someone, you have to learn how to love someone. And it's not easy, especially if you haven't been loved yourself, and if you don't love yourself. First thing, you have to learn to love yourself.
Yeah.
And set values.
Yeah.
And goals.
You look really amazing for your age. What are the things that you do to keep you just like grounded and looking good and vibrant?
Well, I meditate. I'm a Weight Watcher. I've been a Weight Watcher for 40 years. Lifetime member. I've been in the magazine, Weight Watcher magazine. And I guess it was 20 years ago, I was getting ready to retire in another 10 years. So I decided that I wanted to do something that for me. And I saw this woman perform for Black History Month. Her name is Brenda Boykin. And she used her body like an instrument. And I wanted to learn how to do that. So I found out that she was teaching lessons at the jazz work school, jazz room,
somewhere
at the jazz school in Berkeley.
Okay.
So I took blues singing lessons. I've always gone to the blues festivals in Monterey, but I never participated. So she taught me how to use my body like an instrument. And so the class was you wrote your own song, and we performed in front of a live nightclub audience for the recital. And that was the most empowering thing, because I've always been real conservative, but I learned how to use my body to make music.
Yeah.
So that's been one of my highlights.
Your highlights, yeah. So you have a lot of wisdom. What do you think is the one thing that someone in their 30s and 40s should be working on right now if they want to be successful later in life?
It's very important to understand money and start working on that 401k, because compound interest is really important. And if you could just put something aside and you know, learn the value of not spending everything that you make, and by the time you get to be my age, then you'll feel secure, because I think the biggest stressor among especially black women is that they don't know if they'll have enough money to take care of themselves. If that spouse is gone, some of them have never been married, and so it's frightening to think that you're going to retire and you have not prepared for it. So you need to prepare for it and put some money aside. And I think that's, it's very important to do that.
Why do you think people stay in toxic relationships knowing that they're toxic and abusive?
Fear. I think it's fear that if they leave that, there won't be someone else. If they leave that relationship, there won't be anybody else. And then self-esteem too. And if that's all you know, that's what you do. If you grew up in an abrasive, abusive family, and that's what you've been taught. And so we need to break that cycle, the cycle of violence. I won't go there. I won't tell you anything personal.
That's okay. That's personal, okay.
But yeah. But I've always, I didn't grow up in violence, and any time that I've been with a man that was violence or trying to control me, I get out of it.
What are some of the changes that you see, like growing up in your day and age, as opposed to like right now? I'm talking about like with just the way that black people interact with each other. Does technology play a part in how we relate? Like anything?
I think technology plays a part, but we had the village. The village is so important. We had the black church. We had the village, we had the neighbors that looked out after us. We don't even know our neighbors a lot of times now. We knew the teachers. It's just, I think, and there's so much fear that of the violence, with the drugs and that stuff that was put in our community. And
how did that impact our community, in your opinion? When drugs hit the scene in the 80s in Oakland, California, which I'm a product of that.
Yeah, it's devastating, because when I was young, the weed, and we smoked weed and drank a little wine, but the stuff today is, you don't know what's in that stuff, and it messes with your mind. It destroys the brain. And when that crack came in, people were jumping out of windows, and and it just destroys the brain. So you can't even function.
Where do you think the black community would be today if that didn't happen? If we weren't exposed to crack?
I think we might be better off, because if you could think logically, then you do better. But some of the things that, like the drugs and all of the advertisements.
Yeah.
It's a drug.
It is a drug.
It's a drug.
Yeah.
So getting back to with me getting ready to retire, that was one of my anxieties, that I wouldn't have enough money to retire with, the way I wanted to live. And because I had a husband that made good money, but he was I told his daughter that he was a good time Charlie. He loved to spend his money. He got a new Cadillac whenever he felt like it, and I was just in fear. And she told me, you need to start saving your money. And that's what I did. I was able to put 20% of my salary away on the 401k because money is power as long as you know how to use it.
Okay. Last question. Any advice for someone that's going through a hard time in life right now?
And then let me show you the other parts I have while you're here.
Pull away from negative people and see if you can find someone that's positive, with a smile on their face, and a good word, And when I go to the stores, like Walmart and all of the stores, and I see someone that's, they're not even looking at you, I ask them, how's your day? And I look at them so that they can make eye contact. And you'd be surprised how much something like that helps. Just to say, how's your day? Because the young people, they don't think anybody cares about them.
That's sad. Okay. Well, thank you for being a guest on Understand the Black Experience.